a new vlog. The theme for this week's vlog is reading one of the shortest classic books on my TBR according to Goodreads. And dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to try to get through this vlog and really, like Prince said, get through life. I had food poisoning over the weekend. I am like keeping everything down and all of that now, but I still have like slight waves of nausea if I do too much. Like I just did my chores of like cleaning the bathroom and watering the plants, and I am just like, I feel gross. So I'm taking it easy, but sometimes talking a lot is one of the triggers. Very annoying. But let's talk about the books that I am going to be reading this week. We have Here Be Icebergs, which is the book I'm reading in the morning. It's a short story collection about making family life uncanny valley. Then our main focus, which is one of the shortest classics, I keep wanting to say historical fiction, but classic books on my TBR according to Goodreads, and that is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I actually got this for free at a little free library. Let's see what it is about. They are an unlikely pair. George is small and quick and dark of face. Lenny is a man of tremendous size, has the mind of a young child. Yet they have formed a family, yes, there's all these quotation marks in this, clinging together in the face of loneliness and alienation. Laborers in California's dusty vegetable fields, they hustle work when they can, living a hand-to-mouth existence. For George and Lenny have a plan to own an acre of land and a shack they can call their own. When they land jobs on a ranch in the Salinas Valley, the fulfillment of their dreams seems to be within their grasp. But even George cannot guard Lenny from the provocations of a flirtatious woman, nor predict the consequences of Lenny's unswerving obedience to the things George taught him. I will be starting this today. And yes, I am starting the vlog on Tuesday because, as I said, I was sick over the weekend. My 2 year, no, I would say it was even over 2 years where I read every single day, that streak ended. I got a little behind and I wanted the vlog to start when I started this book, so that's why we're starting the vlog today. I did read yesterday. I read in these two and then another book that I finished. But then we have Stolen Beauty, which is my mood read. I'm about halfway into this almost. This is two timelines. We have one at the turn of the century and then one at the start of World War II. This is set in Vienna, following two Jewish women of the same family. It's bringing to life the creation behind some of Gustav Klimt's paintings. Sorry, a helicopter is flying over. If it is a medical helicopter, prayers for safe travels, peace for the patient, comfort and encouragement for the patient and the family, and wisdom to the doctors, and again, healing for the patient. We had to pray every time they fly over. And if it's military, because I did see some military ones were on there, prayers for safety. But Stolen Beauty, sorry for our random prayers. Like, I'm not gonna apologize for praying, but I know that was random. And then we have my ebook pick, which is Home by Marilyn Robinson. This is a really quiet book. It's about two adult children who they come home really for the first time in their adult lives, trying to find themselves and take care of their elderly father at the same time. This is kind of a sequel to Gillette by Marilyn Robinson. And those are the books that we are going to be reading this week. Time for our nightly reading update. I got to 61%, which was 66 pages read and an hour and 52 minutes to listen to an audiobook. That might be off. I usually don't tell y'all that, but today I felt like it for some reason. But yeah, I'm liking this book. It's definitely 3-star vibes. I think it's a good book. Not an all-time favorite. It's good. We are going to go through the notes, about half a page of notes that I have here. Starting in the book itself, the chapters aren't numbered or anything, so I'm getting these numbers from the audiobook. First one is about the writing. Only the intros and outros to Steinbeck's scenes are always like a landscape being painted. It's very cinematic. This was originally published 89 years ago in 1937, but I can so easily see it played out on the screen. And obviously movies were around back then, but it's just so amazing how it's able to be done. We have our character of George, who is like the little guy from when I was telling y'all the description of the book. He seems all rough and tough on the outside, like very much tough love kind of person, but I know deep down he has to have a good heart to keep Lenny around. And that's a big point in this book, is a lot of people are like, why are y'all traveling together? Why do you keep him around? And he lies about it sometimes, but I do think to one of the characters, he was straight up honest about it. And at this time, it's just very odd to see people traveling together. It seems some character said, one character says that everybody just seems to be scared of each other. And it just makes me think of today, how a lot of us have social anxiety, or a lot of people talk about there being a loneliness epidemic, which I originally thought, you know, stemmed from just people being on their phones and being on the internet all the time. But now I'm like, does that have something to do with the outside world? I'm not sure what year this is taking place, but as I said, it was published in 1937. So during the Great Depression, and a world that is going into the World War II, going into that very soon. Is there something on the outside that makes society be that way, of where people are just like scared of commitment, scared of relationships? And I'm not saying it in a romantic sense, I'm saying in any kind of sense of just being scared of being abandoned, that kind of thing. That this book has me thinking that there might be something like that lies onto this epidemic that we see of people just being lonely. But if you like A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, I'm really thinking of the TV show, because I definitely do need a refresher on reading that book. If you like that and are wanting to try fantasy, wanting to try classics or historical, but are predominantly a fantasy reader, I think this would be a good spot to go. The vibes are kind of similar, but I will say, what's his name? Lenny reminds me of Hodor. We don't know exactly what's up with him. I would say he's somewhere on the spectrum, or just developmentally, can't speak, delayed in some way. And again, this was published in 1937, so a diagnosis back then is going to be very different than one would be today. But yes, I love Lenny. I am so worried that something is going to happen to him, and I have no reason to say like I think something's going to happen to him. It just I think something's going to happen to him. Something awful is going to happen to him. Anytime there is just such a wholesome character, I'm like, the writer is just wanting to tug at our heartstrings. They're wanting us to get so connected, so we will just be so impacted when something awful happens. I don't know what that's going to happen, but have the vibe an ambulance? I don't know for a fact if it's an ambulance, but just know we're saying the prayers again. And I do have some of the trigger warnings written, racism. There was one paragraph where this one character was just saying the N-word like every other word. Ableism, as I was saying, with the character of Lenny, how people just treat him. And then animal abuse, some of it is like not set out to be animal abuse. I'm not going to say explicitly, but like really in the first chapter, you know, when a kid will put like all the fish food in the fish tank or in the fish bowl, they're not meaning to harm the fish, but you know, that's obviously bad. Like the fish can't overeat. It's that's too much for it. So that kind of thing. And then there's some instances where just that's how things were done back then, that we wouldn't, people probably do it today, but yeah, a lot of this is just like that's just how it was back then. But I do want to make note of that, because I know some people aren't going to want to read some of that, and some of it does make me uncomfortable, but I expect it with a classic. But again, want to make note so people know what they're getting themselves into. Last quote is, or not quote, see, I'm so sorry about my mind. I haven't had caffeine in days, y'all. Like, I had the sweet tea. I don't know if y'all can see it back there, but that's very minimal caffeine, so I'm definitely about to get some shivers. Maybe I shouldn't, but I am. And then that last note is of what I think the theme here is: how the system, society, whatever you want it to be, capitalism, feudalism, no, I'm joking, but how all of that it just throws people out. You can do everything the right way. People will still question why you're doing things, how you're doing things. Society is, you're not going to be perfect in the eyes of every single person. Or any person, really. You're not going to be perfect. You can just do everything the right way, and it's not going to be good enough for society. And You just gotta do what's best for you. I do think the American dream is a theme here as well, and especially thinking of when this was published. That was obviously a time period where a lot of people were lacking hope, as we were in the Great Depression and on the brink of war. I'm gonna be like, oh, I feel like the World War junkies starting to get on me. I know it took a few years for America to get in the war. I know, but don't come for me. So those are my thoughts on A Mice and Men. I am enjoying it. You could probably read it. I know people could read this in one day, and I probably could. But I just like to give myself time with these books so I don't just fly through and forget it. We will probably finish it tomorrow, but that's my update on Of Mice and Men for changed this. I can't speak. I changed where I usually sit. Still have not got that taken to a dumpster, but because of the lighting at this time of day, I'm about to finish up Of Mice and Men. But I do want to know, is there an app where you can like make a photo book, so the photos from your phone, print them out into a little book and they send it to you, that does the pictures in chronological order? I thought that would just be a given, because I am going to start doing that, because y'all don't even want to know the amount, tens of thousands of pictures I have on my phone. I was like, I really need to get back to making those little books so I can just clear out storage. I go, Mixed Books seems to be the most common site of when I went on different just reviews and doing my research. So that's what I go to. I download the app. You don't have to have a subscription. That was one of my big things. I was like, I do not want a subscription, that I'm only going to use it once. I hope to use it more, but you know, but there's no subscription. You only pay for the whatever book you get. Do a monthly one of just all my pictures from March, which will probably take 2 books to do that, because you can only do 400 pages. I don't know if it's 400 pages or 400 pictures, but y'all get the gist. I get those all. They're uploading right now. Some of them already did. Why do they not upload in chronological order? Why is it just in some random assortment once you get it in the book? Because I'm like, that has no chronological, like, it doesn't make sense the order that it's in. So I'm gonna play around still and hope that I can find on there where you can do it in chronological order, because to me, I take pictures to tell a story. Be like, this was my day today in photographs. It doesn't make sense if it's all, we can't just put chapter 2 between chapter 5 and 6. That wouldn't make sense. So hopefully we can get that figured out. But I have one more chapter in Of Mice and Men, so I'm going to finish this up and then we will review the book. The ending actually had me shocked. I was not expecting that ending at all. Like, this was a great little book. Let's do call out. Let's do cop out. Characters, I am giving a 4-star. I loved them, especially Lenny. So wholesome and just, you don't want anything to happen to the guy. Like, oh my gosh. And the characters may appear one way on the outside, but they are actually layered. And I think that's a lot of times in real life. We judge books, we judge people by how they look on the outside, and we don't really think of, oh, why are they that way? And I was also scared about the side characters not really being developed, but they are all developed because it's just a bunch of dudes working on a ranch, and I'm like, am I going to be able to tell the difference of them? But again, they all have their roles in the story, and they are all there for a reason. Because sometimes I think authors just throw in a bunch of characters for the sake of having characters, but no, these all have their purpose and role in the story and have their impact on the story of why it goes the way that it does. Even if it's just like a literary device, it's like, oh my gosh, I should have seen this coming, especially with the ending. Fantastic. The atmosphere, I'm going to give a 3. I do think that at the start of scenes, it is very, as I said, symptomatic, which that will go into the writing. Very picturesque atmosphere, rustic, yeah, just so classically American. Which I do want to get into writing the American West, something in that, like, I don't want to say time era, because I mean, this is in the 1900s. You can go, the American West extends a long period of time of what I'm considering. That Steinbeck is who I would look to for the most inspiration for like writing style. I feel like with this story in particular, the atmosphere that, like, we have it at the start and end of chapter, we lose it in the middle of the chapters, so that's why I'm only going to give it a 3. The writing, I know I was just like praising his writing a ton. I am going to give that a 3 as well, because it's not my absolute favorite kind of writing style, but I do think it is good. It does come full circle. I don't know if that falls more on plot or the writing, but it is good. I know some people struggle with reading different dialects, and he does use like dialect of what probably is like American slang of that time period of the early 20th century in California. That is when audiobooks are fantastic, because I probably would struggle with it if I wasn't doing the audiobook. No, they are talking like people at that time, about women, about Black people, like they're going to be talking like that. Just be aware. I'm warning y'all that, oh, and even of people who are developmentally delayed, people who are, what's the word? Just ableist, you know, they're ableism. There's gonna be that. So just to let y'all know, the way the characters talk, that they do talk like that in the book. But the plot is also where I'm just kind of like, I don't know what to rate it. Where again, I think it's a 3-star. Because I'm like, I don't know if this is going to have a huge lasting impact on me, or it's going to be this memorable story, but that ending is where I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm talking about the plot itself, not including the themes and everything, because the themes is where I'm just like, I don't know. I think it's just the system using and abusing people, and once they're done with you, they throw you out. They don't care. And that system could be, again, it could be your job, it could be society. There's a lot of things, fill in the blank of whatever situation you want to apply it to. And another one is that we just, as humans, can't do things alone. We're not wolves. And that's still like, wolves are in a pack, but then there's a lone wolf. Like, we're not supposed to be like that. We are supposed to just be around other people. So that's that. And then intrigue, I was making theories. I didn't know where the story was going to go. And I think you're really immersed in the intrigue, because I was like, yeah, everything they want in life, that's going to happen for them. They're going to get it. It's going to have the bow wrapped on top, a beautiful ending, whatever. And then it just went crazy. So we'll do that a 3. Logic is a 5, because it all made sense. I should have seen everything coming, but I didn't. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, does that play on intrigue as well? And enjoyment, I am going to give that a 4-star. So we are going to do the math to see where all this ends up what number it ends up being. This will be getting a 3.5. That will be a 4-star over on Goodreads. So yes, this was a great book and I would definitely recommend it. Again, I did list the majority of the trigger warnings for you to look into because I feel like with classics, you have to say stuff, because I'm actually shocked that this, like with language and everything and some of the talking about women, but again, I guess you know, how women have been treated throughout history. But I'm honestly shocked because in this like similar time period, same decade, is when Hollywood got a lot of laws of being like, this is what you can show on screen, this is what you can't show on screen, but in books you can do all this. I'm really fascinated by this, but obviously you don't want to censor books, and I don't think you should, and I don't think you should censor movies either. So that is a very interesting discussion of how do they decide all that, of what gets censored, what doesn't. That's an interesting discussion. But yeah, I would definitely recommend Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. It is, as you can see, nighttime. We're doing the nighttime update on Stolen Beauty. I've reached the halfway point. I read 24 pages today, getting me to 57% of the way into the book, and this is, I think, the first update in a vlog that I'm doing about my thoughts on the book. I do want to talk about the audiobook at first, and that is that I do not recommend it. 2 of the narrators are fine, but the one who's doing Maria's chapters is just very like choppy. I'm just going to use a line from the back of the book. It's like, nearly 40 years later, Adele's niece, Maria Altman, is a newlywed. Like, it's not, her voice doesn't flow very well, and it's mainly in the dialogue. And the thing is, I would get it if it's one character who is talking this way, but it's every single character. And then the accents in with both our main narrators are kind of distracting, because this book is taking place in Austrian. I don't know what nationality the narrators are, but it's, the accents are done kind of in a distracting manner. I did want to point that out. My other one is with the character of Adele. I do not, her emotions do not match her actions, especially with with Ferry, who is her husband, Ferdinand. I don't understand, like, her thought process of what she's saying, like in her inner dialogue, does not match her actions at all. That character is one that character work is all over the place. I don't like her. I'm sorry, I don't like her. We're probably gonna get more into that. Out of that, she puts blame on him rather than herself, because she's talking to another character and she's like, Fairy wants a son. When earlier she was saying that they both want a son, but when she's alone with somebody else, she's just putting it on him, like, he wants kids, I don't want kids. I don't understand her character motives. She is very young, but I don't get it. I don't get it. A lot of with that character, there is kind of a cheating plot line going on, and they just, how the author went about that, no, I don't like it, of trying to justify one of the character's actions by having another character do this when the other character already did it first, and it's like, okay, it wasn't that bad because this was already happening. No, you can't justify cheating. It's not a good thing. And with our other plot line with Maria, especially chapter 20, again, this is a book where the chapters aren't numbered, it just has the character name and year. But on the audiobook, the chapters are numbered. So on what would be chapter 20, literally trauma porn. I get we are in World War II. Our characters are Jewish. It is an awful, awful time in a country that has been invaded by Nazis, but just reading one thing after another, it does get very draining to read about, and that is how it was. But again, the way it's written, I'm not really a fan of how the author has executed that plot line. So I'm not really a fan of this book. It is my least favorite of the books that I'm currently reading and that I have read this month, but we can't love them all like Of Mice and Men. There's gonna be highs, there's gonna be lows. That is how reading goes, that is how life goes. I just do wish this would have been better, because I do love some of the parts about art, and we had a lot of Medici mentions today, and comparing Florence to Vienna of the early 20th century, once again going back over there into that time period. It's just not hitting for me on the floor because I don't want to disturb Fred. Okay, I feel like I should sit up more, but it's Thursday, and y'all know I finished the book yesterday. The next book on my TBR is Lotharingia, which is my nonfiction pick of the month. I don't want to start this on the last day of a vlog, so we are still going to read Stolen Beauty. We're going to read that for the rest of the day and start this on Monday for next week's vlog. Made it to around 7:30. I'm going to give a brief update. I don't know if I'm exactly at 75% because I still plan to read a little bit more of this today, but for the sake of not staying up all night to edit this video, yeah, just thinking of my poor planning of things. I'm like, why am I like this? I will just give y'all the notes that I have taken today. It has gotten slightly better. That is just to say, like 2.75, 3-star, but I'm not as like angry about it as I was yesterday. And I realized it was just because it was so much at once that it was really like just convoluting how bad things were, and that both of these characters, they had the bad historical moments, and then this is kind of just going into one of my notes that's already on here, but you have all these bad, like the terrible things in history that are happening. It's like, okay, let's make their personal lives pretty I want to swear, but pretty messed up as well. And to me, that's just a lot. That is a lot to take in, but I do understand, like, I have complex feelings on this because obviously war and anti-Semitism, sorry, I think I mispronounced that, all of that is going to cause tension in relationships, and it is going to mess with your personal life. Things that are happening on a grand scale, like the big events in the world, do fall down and impact our personal lives. But I don't think that author executed it properly. But my other notes is that this is really like a love letter for Vienna and Austria. We see Austria as a country form in this book, because at the start of the timelines, empire, is it the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Holy Roman Empire? I don't know, but before World War I, this is an empire. You hear a lot of talk of empire. Our character of Adela, she thinks Vienna is the greatest city that the world has ever seen. She even says greater than Rome, greater than Paris. I don't know, I haven't been. I kind of regret not getting this Vienna snow globe. I saw a Goodwill. I don't know if I posted that on my YouTube channel. I hope that I did, but I kind of regret not getting that, because I was like, I'm reading a book in Vienna and here's a Vienna snow globe. I was like, do I need a snow globe for somewhere I haven't been? But I have snow globes that I've stolen from my grandma that I didn't go, but so I probably should have got it. But if it's there next time, I will get it. And that has happened before, where I've seen something and didn't get it and it was there the next time. So, you know, hopefully no little kids break it, but if that is what happens, that's what happens. Realize how we were talking about anti-Semitism. Well, obviously things like hate movements, racism, whatever, misogyny, you know, all these terrible things that people do have always been around. They've always existed. Anti-Semitism, we can say it's existed as long as Judaism has existed. But I didn't realize it with what we see, what becomes like the Nazi movement. I didn't realize it started so much earlier. It started, I mean, as I said, there was hate towards Jewish people, but then you really start to see it amplified about 30 years before the war even starts. And this is saying before Hitler even comes into power. I didn't realize it was happening so early on. And so that's addressed, and Zionism is even addressed, which I did not expect at all. I've never read a book that addresses Zionism. We are seeing different characters' takes on if they think there should be like a state made for Jewish people, and what the characters think of that. I've just never seen that addressed on page before, and I thought that was really interesting. So that is something where you're like, if something was putting you off about this book, I don't want to call people names. Just know they do talk about Zionism, and if that is a good thing or a bad thing, if you, or whatever you think it is, but the characters do talk about it. They have discussions and debates about it, which, as I keep saying, I've never read before, and I was not expecting to read it in a historical fiction. And I'm glad we got to hear about that, because I've never really read anything about Israel. I didn't know when people, again, I had no idea that in the early 1900s they were already discussing the idea of that. I didn't know any of that. So that was very educational for me. Bad on top of the bad, but how it's complex with the bad of what is happening in history versus what is happening in the personal lives of our characters. But that is all. That's all for the vlog. So let's jump to our weekly reading wrap up. I've completed 2 books this week. Y'all didn't see the one on Monday because I wasn't vlogging on Monday. I've read over 100 pages both days that I've vlogged this week. I don't know about today, but I do think it's possible. On Monday, I read 86 pages again. I did not vlog on Monday because I was not feeling well. Did I haul any books? I did haul books this week, but I didn't pay for them. So that is just kind of a different category. I had a gift card that I got for Christmas, and I was finally able to use it to get 2 paperbacks, and they will be in my haul at the end of the month. I don't know, middle or end of the month. I'm not exactly sure what date I have that video coming out. I think it's more so in the middle of the month. And for next week's vlog, I did show y'all the book that we will be reading. We're going to be focusing on my nonfiction. I don't know if there is any other like straight up kind of theme that we're doing. No, so it's just going to be my nonfiction vlog. We're reading Lotharingia by Simon Winder, I think is his name. Could be wrong on that, but what is that book about? Basically, there is a country in the middle of Europe that is lost, and millions of people have no idea that they're living in this country. That's just so fantastical and like whimsical by how I'm saying it. This is going to be a historical nonfiction, which is usually what I tend to do. I do historical, or I do like current affairs, social issues. That's typically what I read about. And then the occasional memoir. We like memoirs. I'm thinking of what memoir I want to read next. That's been something that is on my mind, of who's gonna go in our mood reading stack. We will just have to see. It's gonna be a couple weeks before I decide on that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave some kind of rain emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you on my next one. Bye. There's Penny. Oh.